In this video, we will build a modern, interactive, expanding product feature card layout using nothing but pure HTML and CSS. Let's build a highly sought-after collapsible accordion transition effect. I'm going to show you how to write out a smooth drop-down micro interaction step by step, featuring an elite CSS grid layout technique that animates height transitions beautifully without causing any lag or broken animation bugs. Let's jump into the body tag, which is where our visible elements are going to live. First, I'm going to open up our structural feature wrapper frame by typing out a div with the class feature card. This forms the primary outer bounding box that acts as our dark luxury component framework. Inside this wrapper, I'm going to create the top details zone by writing a div with the class card header. Inside our header, I'll establish our graphics block by declaring a div with the class icon box. Right inside this icon wrapper, I'll write an inline SVG tag with a modern vector view box configuration setting. Inside the vector element, I'll add a path tag mapping out custom line paths to display a sleek storage server rack illustration. And directly next to it, I'll write an H3 header with the class card-title, holding the title string automated backups. Below the header, I'll build our custom collapsing mechanics container by writing a div with the class expand wrapper. Inside this wrapper, I'll add our structural text guardian by declaring a secondary div with the class expand content. Inside this protective inner layout, I'll write a paragraph tag with the class feature details, containing our technical overview string. Directly underneath that block, I'll create a static micro hint row by writing a div with the class card footer tip, containing the uppercase string hover to view breakdown. Now that our structural elements are ready, let's scroll back up inside our style tags and add the CSS as it appears on screen, line by line. First, I'm going to use the body selector to target our overall page workspace canvas. Inside the body rules, I'll write margin 0 to strip away default structural margins from the browser layout. Then, I'll specify height 100 VH to force our staging area to occupy the full vertical workspace height of the viewport. Now, I am going to use display flex to turn our body layout into a flexible box layout engine context. I'll follow that up with justify content center to center our product card horizontally on the screen. Next, I'll write align item center to center it vertically, locking our entire preview framework dead center on the monitor. To frame our asset beautifully, I'll type background color #0204OA to paint our background with a premium, luxury, dark aesthetic. To finish up this body rule block, I'll declare font family system UI -Apple system sans serif to establish crisp, highly readable modern typography layouts and close our bracket. Next, let's target our MasterCard layout wrapper by typing out the class selector.feature-card. Inside this block, I'll define explicit box dimensions by adding width 320 pixels. Then, I'll use background color #OBOF19 to style our base card theme with a rich, dark navy tint. I'll create a clean frame border by writing border 1 pixel solid #1F2937. Let's curve our container corners smoothly by typing border radius 24 pixels and ensure boundaries stay stable with box sizing border box. I'll set color #FFFFFF to turn all global text elements bright white and cast premium canvas depth by adding box shadow 0.15 pixels, 35 pixels minus 10 pixels RGBA 0.5. To smooth out the appearance shifts later, I'll write transition border -color 0.3 seconds ease, box shadow 0.3 seconds ease, and close out this block. Let's style the header layout row by targeting the class selector.card-header. Inside, I'll write display flex and align -item center to align items horizontally, gap 16 pixels to create space between the icon and heading, and margin bottom 12 pixels to space out the rows. Next, let's target the graphic container box using .icon-box. Inside, I'll add dimensions with width 44 pixels and height 44 pixels. Background color GBA 99, 102, 241, 0.1 to create a soft glass morphism backdrop tint, and border 1 pixel solid R GBA 99, 102, 241, 0.2. I'll curve its edges by adding border radius 12 pixels. Use display flex, align item center, and justify content center to lock the vector graphics perfectly inside the middle. Color it #818CF8 and set flex shrink 0 to prevent the box from squeezing down. For the vector paths inside, I'll write .icon-box SVG and add width 22 pixels, height 22 pixels, fill none, stroke current color, and stroke width 2 to render crisp, high-end outline shapes. Next, let's format the title text by targeting .card-title. Inside, I'll declare font size 18 pixels, font weight 700, margin 0, and compress the characters slightly with letter spacing -0.3 pixels. Now, for the ultimate pure CSS smooth grid row expansion engine, I'm going to target our custom accordion wrapper by typing out the class selector .expand-wrapper. Inside this block, I'll write display grid to activate the grid computing engine. Crucially, I'm going to add the parameter grid-template-rows 0fr. This lines up our row size at exactly 0 fractions by default, which squeezes the inner content completely shut and hides it from view. To handle the opening fluid motion, I'll write transition grid template rows 0.4 seconds cubic Bezier 0.25 1 0.5 1 to build a professional ease-out transition track and close the bracket. Next, let's configure our text guardian using the class selector.expand-content. Inside, I must type overflow hidden. This is an absolute mandatory setting because it stops our descriptive text lines from overflowing into view while our parent row height sits locked at 0 fractions. Now, let's style the actual text elements using .feature-details. Inside, I'll add padding top 8 pixels to give it spacing, margin 0, font size 14 pixels, color #94A3B8 to soften the text color, and line height 1.6 to ensure readability. Let's style our static bottom micro hint by targeting .card-footer-tip. Inside, I'll set margin 16 pixels 000, font size 11 pixels, text transform uppercase, letter spacing 1 pixel, color #475569, font weight 600, and add transition color 0.3 seconds ease to clear this rule block. Now let's configure the interactive animation hover state triggers. We type out our parent hover selector .feature-card::hover to handle card outline illumination. Inside, I'll add border color #4F46E5 and box -shadow 0 20 pixels, 40 pixels minus 10 pixels, RGBA 7970, 229 0.15 to illuminate the outer boundaries beautifully. Next, let's unlock the grid drop-down activation by typing .feature-card::hover.expand-wrapper. Inside, I am going to write grid-template-rows 1fr. The exact millisecond your mouse cursor floats over the element, this shifts the row layout tracking up to 1 full fraction, adjusting to fit the internal copy text automatically. Finally, let's illuminate our bottom micro hint text by writing .feature-card::hover.card-footer-tip. Inside this final block, I'll write color #6366F1 to shift the font tone to a striking, bright indigo color on hover, and close out all remaining curly braces. Into the feature card, I'll pad out the internal margins evenly by typing padding 24 pixels. Look at the screen now. As we hit save, our code executes cleanly. Our expanding feature card sits elegantly on our dark mode canvas space. At rest, the text breakdown remains completely hidden from view. But watch what happens the exact millisecond our cursor enters the interaction zone. The outer card outline lights up with a premium indigo halo, the footer tip text brightens, and the grid wrapper fluidly expands its vertical footprint down to the exact pixel depth of our technical descriptions, completely powered by hardware-accelerated CSS calculation tracks. Thanks for watching. If you found this real-time build helpful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. See you next time.